is that it's essentially even Steven, or pretty close to even, right? People on the
I
left.
don't know if it's even Steven, but I don't think that it's nearly as egregious as people are making it out to be.
Okay,
Well, I
so
don't think that it
Sansa,
really
hold on,
matters.
let me rein it in. MPU tried to take a different approach, and then like he got interrupted. So I'm going to rein it back in here. MPU, sir, if you would start again.
Yeah, I think the biggest point, right, on all of this, which we're a little far afield, right? We're getting down into a rabbit hole a little bit. But the biggest thing here, right, is that the question of deplatforming and when it really kicked into gear is that people under the Trump administration, people that supported Trump, right? I mean, you had a couple black ladies, right, that did sugar and something or other, spice and whatever.
Diamond and Silk.
Diamond and Silk, right? They
Yeah.
got deplatformed. Prager University got deplatformed. They make
Wait, when
5-minute
did they get-
videos. They make 5-minute videos that promote American constitutional ideals. They got
Where were they banned?
Platform. They're not banned, but they're deplatformed. They don't make any money off of YouTube.
Oh, but that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but they make
Everybody,
money through
They're
donations.
conservatives, right? So tell
No,
me
but really quick,
what
more perfect union.
substantial leftist leaning entity on YouTube or any platform has been demonetized.
I can't name them, but I know there was a
I can
couple
name
articles
some.
with big
I can-
lists.
I can name some off the top of my head, and I can also point towards things that are non-political. Literally, if you're doing
True
anything
Destiny.
political on the internet, right, you're going to get demonetized. That is just the nature because advertisers don't want their name on front of something that may or may not be supported by that company.
And
So you
there's
can
a
look at people like
difference right in the-
Destiny, you can look at people like Vosh,
Yeah,
you
there's
can
a
look
fair,
at people like Sam Teeter.
question there, right? There's a fair question to say that somebody who is producing a content stream or content series that doesn't appeal to a particular advertiser might be demonetized by specific advertisers. But that's not what we're talking about here,
That's
Sansel.
literally what we're talking about.
No, that is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the actual platform, the vehicle upon which the communication stream applies, saying, no, you cannot make money on this thing. They're not saying advertiser Johnson & Johnson says they don't want to fucking support Sansel or Mike Rowland, right? They go simply, no, this platform does not
Okay.
want to hear your message, and therefore no advertiser can advertise and fund you. Okay, that is
Do you
not
think that- wait,
the same
really
thing
quick,
as
really
the
quick.
free market saying
No,
that
no, no,
that's
really
the
quick. I
message
have a
wanna
question for
hear,
you.
that's the message I want to identify with.
Do you think that individual advertisers are picking and choosing what channels their advertisements are played on?
Sure they do.
No.
Yeah,
No.
they do. No, I mean, to the extent that there are some constraints, right? I mean, there's always like the way that marketing and the way that things are structured and engineered, the choices that you have are presented. And yes, the people that produce that content produce meaning the entities that distribute said content, they have a say in what content actually comes to market, right? But on the internet, you would have to argue, right, that it's much easier for you or me or CTV or anybody else to produce a stream that might appeal to a segment of society. And when a company like AWS or Google or Twitch or anybody else says that, you know what, we don't agree with your concept, they're
Really quick.
actually pulling. Hey, wait a second.
Yep.
They're actually pulling that off the table so that potential advertisers who might identify and resonate with that message because they want to sell to that demographic, they're told that, well, you don't even get access to this as a stream of content that might have a potential vehicle for you. Yes,
We just need
I
to ban the
totally
internet.
agree.
I mean,
I
no
gotta
more
say
internet.
really quick.
No
I
more
need to hop
internet.
out. I gotta hop out here in a second, but I do gotta say, this is really a fundamental misunderstanding about how monetization works on these platforms. I don't think this is like a personal dig at you, right? Because it's the only reason I know this is because I was very interested in this sort of thing when I was thinking about being an advertising major. But the way that this works, or a marketing major rather, the way that it works is basically a bunch of companies come together and they say, we don't want our names put in front of this, or this. Or they'll get mad at YouTube and say, hey, we've had our advertisements in front of this. How fucking dare you? We're going to turn off, we're not going to pay YouTube anymore to advertise on anymore. And that scares the fuck out
Montreal
of
just
these
score the game-winning
companies.
goal. They're going to the
companies
Stanley
aren't making
Cup.
these decisions, right? Like the YouTube, the platforms, right? They're making broad stroke decisions, especially around political content, in order to not get their shit fucked in the market. Because
Right.
if they show their advertisements on, like, there was a big deal with called ElsaGate, where there was advertisements being shown on really creepy, weird content for children, right? And that led to age gating everything for advertisers. Anyways, I gotta hop out really quick.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and respond.
Yeah,
Thanks
go ahead.
very much for that. I appreciate that. I'll respond to this. You can look at the VOD later. Okay.
I'll
Here's
listen
the
for
kick.
that for really quick.
Later,
for your
Here's
response.
the kick. The fact that an advertiser, that their content is inadvertently played in a source target that they don't want to be a part of, that's a legit concern between the advertiser and the platform providing it, right? There's a difference between that kind of situation that you're talking about and then advertisers who are actually being told that you don't even have access to these other platforms because we don't believe, because Google thinks that they're going to lose ad revenue by allowing somebody to support CTV or the More Perfect Union or Sonsel. They're going to lose revenue en masse. Okay. So therefore they're going to just restrict down to the lowest common denominator, which tends to be the most radical, because the most radical people among society are the people who tend to be the most vocal. Okay. So if you get a small number of people that go out and they bitch loud enough, guess what happens? You get somebody to create a band, just like they did with the All-Star game out of fucking Atlanta. Okay. $100 million worth of business that primarily oriented, or that was going to benefit minority-owned businesses in the capital of fucking Georgia, was sent to a predominantly white state.
True.
19% of the people in fucking Georgia are African American. 9% of the fucking people in Colorado, in Denver, are white. I'm sorry, are black. Yet they move $100 fucking million worth of fucking revenue because somebody misinterprets what Georgia's election law was.
They didn't read it at all.
Even fucking Stacey Abrams now is saying, no, it's not so bad. It's not as bad as we thought it was. We're really bad. Y'all need to come back. Y'all need to bring your business back to us.
Here's
right? And
the
then
summary of that was
platforms, the MLB and everybody else, they fucking jump on this bandwagon and they deplatform a lot of people, but they don't realize what they're doing is actually screwing the people who actually were going to benefit the most.
Yeah,
So,
I read that bill
think
like 3
it's a fucking
times.
problem.
Easier to vote, harder to cheat. That's pretty much what it was.
I don't disagree with you on any specific point or the string of points that create the entire thought that you just went through, MPU. The thing is, though, that if you back it up and go to the forest view instead of even the tree or grove view, if you go to the 50,000-foot forest view, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but the thing is that Google via YouTube, that's their platform. Whoever's using that platform, decide if that person, that entity, if Diamond and Silk wanted to build their whole presence, their whole world, their whole business model using that platform, that's a business risk by not distributing it or putting all their eggs in that basket.
Sure.
So trusting that that's going to always be there. Not building your whole world. If you're a conservative and you're going to go into the lion's den of we all know big tech, we all know Google, we all know Amazon, we all know Facebook. They're all big lefty entities. If you're going to go and build your whole world in there, you kind of have to realize that that's a risk going in, and to not have backups to it or have your primary be somewhere else, like how what's his name? Destiny. Perfect example. His primary is his own website. It's not Twitch. I mean, as far as I understand it, his primary is Destiny.gg. They call him the DGGers, right? That's where his primary business
Sure.
model
Yeah,
lives.
that was created
it's
after
the-
he got banned, though.
Well, that's taking action. That's pretty smart action to
Yeah.
take after the fact. It
No,
would
no,
be
yeah,
Sure.
you know, you
smarter
definitely,
beforehand.
no, you
But yeah.
definitely have, you definitely, if you're going to get into this business in the IT or the internet space, right? You have to
Yeah.
understand that there are multiple vectors that create risk for you to continue operations. Not a problem, right?
And that was
The fact
Parler's
that
problem too
Diamond
with
and Silk,
AWS. They
Diamond
put
and
all their
Silk are,
eggs in that basket. I don't
yeah,
mean to
but
talk
Diamond
over you.
and
I was trying to
look,
mean to get that
but
for a while.
but to be honest, right? Most people who incorporate themselves into a streaming platform, right, are doing it on the low end. It's very organic. They're growing it up. They don't know what they're doing. They're not professional media organizations, right? So
Right.
the fact that Diamond and Silk they platformed themselves on YouTube and they had something that was exceptionally well consumed, right? They were
It
making
really
money.
was, yeah.
That was their living. And then for Google, was it Google? Yeah, Google owns YouTube,
Yeah,
right?
Google owns YouTube.
So they deplatformed them. Facebook deplatformed them because they disagreed with their philosophy, not because that they didn't have a following. And to be honest, right, Google and Facebook made fucking money off of these people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out earlier. I think Google and
Yeah.
Facebook and Twitter actually were like getting like basically a slap on the wrist, which I thought should have been worse for not giving up enough information to the FBI, whereas Parler was turning over information like daily, weekly, like monthly. It seemed like I'll try to find the source for that, but if I understood it correctly, Parler was giving over like all of their information leading up to the 6th, whereas like Facebook and Twitter and some of these other
They were
social
hiding
media
it.
platforms were.
No, they were.
Yeah, I don't know if
And
I don't know their intentions, but yeah, they weren't giving over enough information to the FBI, and then after the fact, they
and
they
it comes
were
up after
investigated.
the fact, right? But you can't change the narrative, right? You cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Well,
So
you try hard
everybody
enough, I'm
thinks
sure you
that
could
Parler
get
that
that done.
Parler was some. Everybody thinks that Parler and yes, they had some systemic problems that were associated with their platform, right? How they worked, how they chose to enact moderation and so forth, right? They had some legitimate concerns that could have been addressed, but they were platformed by Apple, by Google Play, right? By AWS. And then and when January 6th happened, they just said, fuck it, we're done. We're gonna cut you off at the kneecaps, right? When they purposefully allowed this shit to go on, and they know because they have their app stores, they have review cycles, right? They have to allow these things. They know what's going on, they know what the security is, they know what the moderation policies are when they did it. Okay. So they turned around and they said, well, we're gonna deplatform you because of this reason. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't have been some reason to do that. But guess what? There were legit more instances of people trying to plan attack, like violence against the Capitol on January 6th that were on Facebook than ever existed on Parler. And nobody can with a straight face stand up and say that that's not true. Yet Facebook is still fucking on the App Store, is still on Google Play, okay, and they're still platformed. And Parler was shut the fuck down.
So what's the solution?
I think Parler and any app that gets removed when there's obvious evidence of, like a Facebook, doing the same thing, I think they have legal action if they didn't sue Apple already to stay on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. I know that's a big hit, but I think they have. That sounds like a pretty home run. I mean, yeah, expensive lawyers are going to be expensive lawyers, and they're going to make it all kinds of things. But just A is A and B is B. That sounds like a really easy case of, hey, Facebook is doing this. Why are you removing us from the store for?
Except the
trying
Ninth Circuit, where these things are heard, right? Because they're
Right.
all Silicon Valley companies. The Ninth Circuit is the most liberal circuit on the face of the earth for America. Well, in the face of America, right? So they get rejected, and it costs millions and millions of dollars to do this. So
changing
whether
the
or not they
teleport
can
maybe.
actually get to a point where they can get it heard, it doesn't. It's irrelevant, right? Because a common
Irrelevant.
person, a lay person, can say, you know
It's
what?
irrelevant.
Facebook had more, and the news reports have come out on other news channels, right? Not
On the
Fox
news channels.
have come out and said,
Yes.
yep, more. The FBI was aware that there were more social media shit on Facebook than Parler that was related to January 6th and the potential for violence. Yet Facebook is still an app on Google Play and the App Store and the Apple App Store. Okay, and Parler
excuse me.
wasn't. And Parler had to jump through hoops beyond belief in order to get back on. They actually fired their CEO, reformed their company, okay, or recapitalized their company in order to get their shit back together. They didn't even have access to their source code in order to try to make the changes that the various app stores said that they needed to do in order to become unbanned.
I don't get why they wouldn't have their own source before pushing it to prod. That doesn't make any sense to me either.
I think
them.
Nacho might have
And-
said somebody made the
yeah.
point that they had a lot of systemic issues, right?
Yeah,
But
they
the
had a
fact
lot
is,
of issues.
when you tell a company that's hosting you, you know, I get that you don't want me on your platform right now, but please let me have my fucking source code. And they don't do it. You know what that is? That's a taking. Right? And they should have been subject to civil prosecution for restricting access to the content they own. They might own access, but they can't they might be able to restrict everybody else's access to it, but you can't cut somebody off and not give them access to their source code.
Depending on the terms of service on the contract they signed, they very, very much could pursue civil action on that. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I do work in not in law space, but in telco, in all the big tech space, but not with them. That's very much the solution is that they could pursue civil action on that, as long as Amazon violated,
Years,
or
right? And doing it
as long as they violated their own policy, that you can definitely pursue civil action with them. You probably, I mean, and as anybody who works in the industry knows, if ever a provider violates an SLA, they're not gonna provide lost revenue, and you're gonna have to sue a lot to get any lost revenue.
Against future
Yeah,
expense.
you just get a credit for the service that wasn't provided for that time period.
Yeah, but they ended service, right? So what's the what's the fucking
Yeah, if
answer?
they ended
Where
it,
were-
then that
where
would be
were
that would be the action. That would be the solution that we're looking
Great.
for, is Parler to pursue civil action against all the entities that possibly violated their own policies by shutting them off early.
Yeah, I look, I agree with that, right? I think the question of what should be done versus what has been done, right? I think that there's a chasm between the two, right? And what should have been done was that everybody should have been treated and held to the same standard. What we have seen
Totally agree.
is that they're not, right? And certain types of things that promote the business interest of the platform provider tend to get shown a certain amount of favoritism versus the things that are not in favor, right? So
All
if
right,
there's
real quick.
political pressure to move against a certain thing, to say that, you know, being conservative, if you're a conservative, you're somehow automatically considered anti-gay, anti-trans, anti-this, anti-that, anti-whatever, right?
Oh my
Anti-vote.
gosh.
Then it becomes very easy to sort of comport your platform to the counter view and the counter narrative, right? And that's unfair.
All right, finish up there,
And when
sir.
companies have the kind of power that makes
They
it
just keep
possible
going
to
and going and going.
deplatform people who
Just like
bring
the
a
Energizer
counter
Bunny.
opinion, right? That they don't even have power to make change. They just have a
It keeps
platform to say,
going
this is
and
what I think.
going and
when
going
they're-
and
they're
going
Hey,
and
restricted-
real quick, we
going.
went on for a minute, so I got to stop everybody now. So, so I got to thank because race car, right, for giving Nacho a ball, right? You now have a red ball,
So
Nacho.
next month you can get a second
So,
ball.
Ball
So you're
receiver.
not-
Yeah.
yeah,
day I'll have
you're
two
not
balls.
walking around.
I
Yeah,
got
you're not
Fun
walking
fact:
around.
my football coach
You're-
only had one ball.
Hey, you're not walking around with
Fucking
no
young.
balls now,
Yeah,
right? So you at least
testicular
got
cancer.
one.
There's
Right?
a hype train coming.
Yeah. So and then Jen, right? We want to thank Jen for gifting a tier 1 sub to Danik 10, and then also to Academy Impossible, if I'm not mistaken, as I'm looking here. Danik 10, right? Just got a blue ball, right? So now they're blue balled, and Academy Impossible is now blackballed. So outstanding there. And then because Race Car cheered 200 bits, then Farty Butt Pants cheered those weird unicorn penis looking things, 500 of them, right? That are now, splooging on everybody's face, right? Those crazy unicorn heart penis looking things, right?
Jesus.
All over everybody's face right now. So just so you know, right? You may not they're all over your face, like they're going everywhere, right? And then we've got Jen just gifted a tier 1 to Mr. Geek.
Is G Tweak here?
Who apparently, right? He just got red balled.
What's up?
And then
How's it
because
going,
Race
Computer
Car cheered
Carnage?
another 300 bits.
How you doing, buddy?
And then Sleepy
Staying out of
Hazard
trouble, I hope.
just gifted 5 tier 1s. One to Riot Inc., Rastafarian, DBO TV, Poop T22,
Poop
and
T.
Gramando, right?
Poop T22.
So Sleepy Hazard, you are responsible for 4 black balls.
God damn, all the
1
balls.
blue ball, right? So you're holding out for somebody.
No, it doesn't
Right.
count as trouble if you don't get caught. Of course not.
Celtic Raven.
If you don't get
VA
caught, then
just
you're fucking
gifted 5 tier 1
fine.
subs. One to Gunja 88, Masta Strib, JWB 1991, Muggsy, and Poker Mad. And you Raven are responsible as well for 4 black balls and 1 blue ball. So between the pair of you,
Damn,
right,
all the
there's 2 blue
balls.
tonight.
All the
right?
balls everywhere.
And where are we at now? And then Jen gifted a tier 1 sub to VNK. So VNK is now blackballed, right? And now we are at a level 5, 23% hype
God
train
damn.
with
The hype train is
2
real
minutes and
for
50 seconds
CTV.
left. That's where we're at right now.
Fucking sweet.
Oh wait, shit. Sorry. What was I thinking? Of course I was going to have to keep talking.
Oh, you got more.
Burial Soup just gifted, and the fucking music went away.
Level 5 complete.
There we go. Okay, burial soup. What kind of soup is that? What kind of soup is a burial soup? Like a potato? I don't know. Did 5 tier 1s.
think
One
about,
to
like,
Fruit
farming
Loops
type
42.
Yay.
Yonatan. I'm a B Sauce 274. Canna Bros 420 and Ajax Unleashed. All black balls. So 5 more black balls coming in. Gien just gifted a tier 1 sub to Biggs 8500. Biggs, how do you feel about Jen giving you a blue ball? How
I
do you feel
feel
about that, sir?
I feel amazing. It's great.
Outstanding.
Thank you very much.
See, you're getting thanked for blue balls now, Jen. Right? Where else could you be thanked for blue balls? Just saying, right?
Deck Inspection Union.
Because Race Car just cheered 500 bits. More of them
That's funny.
unicorn penis hard-looking deals, right? And then Aquatodopteron just gifted the 736.
560 feet is pretty long.
Right? The 736. What was the 736? Was that the West Virginia?
The 736 was, I thought, was that? No, I want to say, I don't want to say. I thought it was Sturgeon.
No, 730. No, that was no. It would have been one of the states, right? It would have been, I think, West Virginia.
Because
Because I think Pennsylvania was.
No.
I
I think it was SSBN, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
Mortal
736.
Kombat.
Yeah.
What you're
Yeah.
thinking? I'm trying to get
Montana?
you. I'm trying to
Oh, West
get you where I'm
Virginia.
at.
No, you're
bro.
right. You're right. You're right.
West Virginia, right? So Quadadomtron just donated the USS West Virginia. Appreciate it, buddy. We need more boomers in the chat,
There you
right?
go. Boomer, boomer.
How come nobody follows? Nobody followed the West. You need to gift to the wolf conservative. Think conservation. There's a wolf conservation that does on Twitch. They have a whole channel. It's just 24-hour live feed of the wolf
I
conservation.
know we've
It's awesome.
rated there.
No, you're right.
Yeah, we let. Yeah,
You
we,
have?
we rated
Nice.
there. Yeah,
Last
we,
night.
Awesome.
yeah. We raid there. We let them know that the wolf pack is coming into the chat. Not only do you got the wolf pack on the screen, folks, you got the wolf pack in the chat. Believe it. That's why we raid over to the conservation center from time to time. So
Nice.
this thing now. Ooh, Nursomancer just subbed in at tier 1. 4 months so far. Outstanding. Months working towards that green ball. Outstanding. And the hype train now, level 5, 181% with 30 seconds left. Koala 20 just cheered 100 bits. Outstanding. Appreciate that, Koala. Outstanding. Might as well wait the other 20 seconds. And then, of course, gentlemen, you'll be able to take it away into whatever never land that this conversation is going. Because it can go forever, kind of like the never-ending story.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm
Everybody
gonna
remember
take this opportunity to probably head out because I gotta get to bed. I wasn't planning on this taking this long.
I'm Nacho. Appreciate you being here, buddy. If you were paying attention earlier in chat, which I know you were, right? I asked the 8-ball, Nacho should be a VIP, and wouldn't you know it, it came back and said no. Right?
Damn.
It said no to begin with. It was
Alright,
amazing,
my mom
folks,
thinks
right?
I'm a VIP. It's fine.
See, that's when I asked it
I don't-
another question. Should you be a moderator? And it said yes. Apparently, it's letting you know that you got to do some work around here, right? You don't get to just sit back and be all laissez-faire in the chat, VIP status like. You got to actually put some work in. That's why you got the sword,
You might
right?
have picked
Yeah,
the wrong
VIP is way
mod.
better
It takes
than
a lot. It takes a lot for me to ban people. I'm a libertarian at heart, so I'm pretty
There we
much a
go.
free speech absolutist. So
Well, there we go. So anyway, 8-ball said you need to go to work. You got to go to bed so you can get up and go to work. So appreciate you being here, buddy. We're gonna shout you out. Let's see, American underscore fucking underscore Nacho.
yeah.
Fucking underscore. Boy, there he is, folks. Right. Make sure you go by and give a Nacho a follow. Right, and make sure he's not got any of that whack ass fucking cheese dip that I'm having to fucking endure around here in Orlando. Right.
Fucking cheese dip.
I got that chorizo cheese dip.
There you go.
It's
Chorizo
that
cheese.
good stuff.
Good, man. Just legit.
All right.
Alright.
Well, y'all have a good one.
Thanks,
Later.
Nacho.
Peace.
All right. See you later.
Okay, so here we are, gentlemen. It's us right now. We actually got room for somebody else. If there's somebody else in the chat that wants to jump in here, right? You turn your camera on and join us in the whereby. But that's where we're at. So take it away. And thank you everybody for all the gifted subs and the bits. I appreciate it. Take it away.
Like I think just as like not a hard break, but the thought process of these that feel like they're ubiquitous and almost monopoly type platforms being actual monopolies. I think we're seeing now that there's a wall that's got to get pushed through, but we're seeing competition come up because of all of this stuff that's happening. You've got your Parler, you got your Gab, you got your Telegram, you got your Signal, you got all of these other things that at first they're getting labeled, oh, that's where all the all the bad people go. But then as it gets more and more in the public conscience of the body politic, I think is the way I'd phrase that hey, yeah, these platforms that everybody's think are standardized, that YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, that maybe they're not all they're cracked up to be, and there are alternatives. Standardizing is a problem, and reaching everybody. You want it to be a platform and a free speech thing, but it is still a private entity, and there are competitions. I don't think I would want at all it to be a government run or nationalized public square where you get your basically like Chinese style social media credit score, which how far away are we from that?
I don't disagree with that, right? I mean, uh, but that's not really what the whole question was from before, right? It was like whether or not somebody should be allowed to be deplatformed, or whether or not and continue to get like the break of not being held accountable, right? Publishers can choose to censor speech. They can choose to print one book and not the other book. But communications
Right.
platforms are not allowed that same right. And Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act has basically given the internet, because 20 years ago, they wanted the internet to be this place that could flourish, that would foster content, communication, exchange of ideas, right? So they wanted to provide this vehicle or this protection to say that you couldn't be sued for simply providing an open platform, right? But the construct now is that these companies are banning
Just made my daily
speech they don't
contribution.
like,
Very good. I appreciate the
much like
contribution
publishers
very
could,
much. I do.
and a publisher is subject to recrimination, right? By either saying something or restricting the ability of somebody to get something forward. There is a civil recourse for them failing to live up to the tenets of their policy, okay, under tort law. But the internet is basically free. It's still wild, wild west. They can do whatever they want. And Section 230 provides that freedom for them to be able to do that. Okay. So when Google can say, I don't agree with your speech, and I'm the dominant player, and I am the dominant player in this area, or Facebook says the same thing, I'm going to deplatform. You can still have your page on Facebook. We can still make money off of you and your content and your connections, which they do, right? They demonetize people and they still make money off of the people who go to the website, right?
You need
And
to
they still make
clarify though.
money off the people who actually put the site up, the page up. They still make that money, but they tell you you can't make money. They are in fact acting as not a conscription, but they are acting in a way that basically says you don't matter, and we're going to continue to take from you.
I want to make sure we're not conflating. It sounds like you're using almost interchangeably deplatforming and demonetizing, and
But
they're not the
there's
same.
two steps, right? They
Right.
demonetize, then they
The
deplatform.
using like say Facebook or YouTube as a platform and it being monetized are very different things. Now the freedom of speech doesn't impact the private entities. All it means is you can't be silenced by criminal being prosecuted criminally. You can't be arrested for speech in the United States. It doesn't mean a platform can't
Yeah,
have. Now what you said, here's the key thing. According to their terms of service, because you're choosing to use them as your platform
Sure.
according to their terms of service when you agree.
Sure.
And yeah, I agree with you. I don't like them at all, but it's still, I don't use Google. I have everything blocked at the firewall except for Maps, Translate, and YouTube because I use them sometimes to look
Yeah.
things up. I don't publish to YouTube at all, but there are alternatives. And unfortunately, as long as they're adhering to their own policies, I don't see there's much we can do except for get the word out about, hey, use something else. And then the
Yeah, but
market decides.
Yeah, you would argue, right, that their policies are somewhat amorphous, right? And that they change in
Oh,
ways
they're so
that are not
long.
easy
Anybody who
for
reads it
the
gets
average
should get an
person to
award.
keep up with, right?
Oh yeah, they're incredibly hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
There
I
should
mean,
what I
how
would
many
be
times
okay
you
with.
log onto a website and you see that the provider has said our privacy terms have changed, and yes, we should all be responsible when somebody says their
Yeah.
privacy policies have changed. We should all be looking at that, but how many people really do?
Well, the
Right?
thing is that's how we treat it. You clicking OK is the same thing as signing your name on a
Yeah,
contract.
it's a digital signature.
Yeah,
No, I get
and
that,
it's
right?
unfortunate.
I
We live
get
in a convenience.
but the fact that it happens, right? And I think when we try to look at things like we try to get to a more perfect union, right?
Mhm.
The we would expect as citizens within a more respectful, more inclusive, more open society, right? That if the government can't tell us that we can't challenge the government, we can't challenge the government with our ideas, our speech, and our thoughts and seek redress for grievances, that a government that tolerates a private entity being able to do that is akin to the government doing it, right?
You know,
If
I gotta.
can't do
That's a
it
great. That's
under constitutional law, I can't do it, but I allow some other entity to do it on my behalf, and I just sort of look the other way. Would we reasonably agree as citizens in a free society that that's a problem, and that the federal government really has a responsibility not just to say that I can speak against the government, I can speak in a free way about the policies of the government, that if a private entity who might technically have the ability to say, you know what, we don't want that on our platform, but if I'm criticizing the government on a non-government platform, and that platform has an interest before the federal government where they might get shit looked the other way, or they might get adversely affected if they supported even tacitly, right, this kind of speech, is that not a problem that the government is allowing a private entity to violate my free speech? That if I were speaking through a government channel, through a regular news channel or something like that, that I could make that argument, and the government couldn't say, I could stand in front of the Congress and I could say, you guys are a fucking bunch of dirtbags. But if I do it on Facebook, Facebook can censor me, and that's a private thing. You know what? Then I no longer have that freedom of speech. Would you agree with that? That that's a problem?
It's a
That
great
depending
segue.
on who's in power, that they
Segue.
could sort of use, they could use a platform to act in effect as an ad hoc censor to prevent free speech towards the government? And I would submit
No.
to you that
Great.
that's
Hold on.
true.
Just
They
great
shouldn't be able to
segue.
do.
Listen, great segue. Great segue. Right? Joe Biden recently said that if you were going to attack the government and you didn't have F-15s and nukes, right, that you can't do it.
Oh yeah,
So
I think I
then,
replied to
this right here, I feel like is kind of correlative to what you guys are talking about with regard to speech. So address that along with what you guys are going on about the speech, right? Because the president of the United States said that if you don't have nukes and F-15s, what the fuck are you thinking, right? The implication there being that the
Guns, if you
executive,
don't have nukes or F-15s, right? That was his premise. He basically said it doesn't matter. So if owning guns doesn't matter, then why the fuck are they trying to take them away from you?
I've made that point actually.
I think I forget where I responded to it, if it was on Twitter or it wasn't on Discord, but it was that this is the most easily defeated argument. It's the anti-gun basic bitch debate bro 101 statement of, well, you need nukes. Yeah, and Joe Biden did that, and he's the president. Come on. Whoever wrote that for you should be fired. It's easily countered with how long we've been in Afghanistan, asymmetrical warfare much? Come on, guys. That's, you don't even like.
Oh man,
Oh, you need nukes.
I
They're
think
gonna
I said
like they're
something-
gonna nuke U.S.
I said
soil.
something on Twitter. I responded to somebody who made that argument, right? I said, tell that to the Taliban.
Yeah.
20 years, they're still fighting and they're not giving up. They fought 10 years against the Soviets, and guess what? The Soviets finally backed the fuck out. We
Che
actually
Guevara had a great book on it.
had
Communist
asymmetric
fuck
war in
stick.
the
He
revolution.
wrote a great
Right?
book.
We had asymmetric war in the revolution. The British had far more military firepower than the colonies did, right?
Oh yeah.
But yet we just sort of wore them
Entirely.
out after a period of time. So don't think that you have to have a nuke weapon. That you don't have to have an F-15. You can drag it out to a point where it's a problem. I'm not advocating for that. Don't get me wrong, right? I think it would be horrible for that as a situation. But for Joe Biden to make that statement,
It was
and
incredibly
basically say,
irresponsible.
you know what? Half the country needs re-education because they voted for Trump, right? And now you're telling them, says, I double dog dare you.
Double dog dare you.
Right? I mean, that's
right?
offensive what the
Double
guy did.
motherfucking dog dare you.
This is the thing that I was like last night. I was watching after I ended the stream. I was sitting there. I was watching a documentary on Amazon Prime about Hitler and Nazi propaganda, right?
Sure.
Now, about an hour long. Now, the thing that I thought was exceedingly hilarious, right, was how everything that I was listening to what the Nazis did with regard to their propaganda is exactly the same thing that the left is doing now. Motherfucking line by motherfucking line.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount of truth, right? Those who forget to learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat its mistakes.
I mean, from not only like, I mean, the only thing that they're missing is a charismatic leader, right? Because he's,
I'm available.
you're gonna go be a Democrat
Not
for
for
you.
that, not for that side of the coin, but I'm relatively charismatic. I got a good looking hairline. My waistline is a little larger than my neckline. I mean, I look like a pyramid. I'm good to go. That's where all the power is.
Okay, that went. I don't know. The political implications there, right?
I
Like,
got out of hand real quick.
you think?
Well, I mean, I've been sort of like elevating the tone of my discourse, and I apologize to the community, right? But I'm really, really, really seriously concerned about how the way the media actually operates, right? And the fact that because it used to be right that there was the news and the opinion side of all news organizations, and the twain shall never cross, or they never crossed, right? And you have to only go back and look, for anybody who's really young or doesn't really understand like the history of like radio or TV journalism. You have to go back and look at a guy named Edward R. Murrow, right? Who was the progenitor of like just the news, and report the thing as it is, as it occurred, and let people evaluate what that meant later, but simply give them the information. Now what we get is the spin, and maybe if you're lucky, the information or the facts will sort of catch up to it. And what we have found all too commonplace in the last 15 or so years is that the facts rarely comport themselves to the story as it's initially brought forward, right? So the danger for society, and people talk about like, the no weapons of mass destruction for the Iraq War, right? And that everybody was off on the tangent, but everybody believed it at the time because the news media bit on some story, they didn't properly vet it, and then everybody sort of believed it. And if you tell the lie enough, right? This is the thing, you get back to Goebbels, right? If you tell the lie enough people will believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So the question really is,
Yeah, Mandela
how
effect.
well prepared is your society to question the lie? And if you can't do that, right? If you cannot do that, then you're doomed. You will be the plebiscite. You will be that cat that simply picks up the pitchfork and points it in the direction your government tells you through their choice of propaganda operation, which in our case happens to be primarily the mainstream media. And to the extent one level removed, where they get their shit is from politicians. And politicians, man, if anybody believes that any politician of any political stripe gives a shit about you, you're wrong. They give a shit about getting elected. So if you don't understand what's actually going on and can't question them and hold them to account for the choices and the statements that they make, you are, as Ajax Unleashed says, you are a useful idiot. And we need fewer useful idiots.
Yeah, that's why I've already said I'm not running with any party, right? The only way I get in the office is if people go write my name down.
Legit, man. I mean, legit.
Oh, everybody wants to see Chief.
What is that? Am I missing something?
Chief, my cat.
Oh, the kid.
Aw, kitty cat.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, they're my buddy.
Got the glowing eyes in the camera.
Hey, where the putty cat?
I'll be right back.
Man, everybody's leaving us. How you
Getting
doing?
about that time. How
Yeah.
have you been, Biggs? You ain't said much tonight, man.
Yeah, I've been having a few beverages and just kind of here to listen. You know, trying to take in the wisdom from the elderly folk.
Right?
But I've been doing well. How about you?
Well, let's see. Today I was going to try to get the work done on my truck, and
How'd that go?
to be fair, I got both sides have the upper control arms and the front struts replaced, right? Then I went to AutoZone, right, and I got the C cup fucking ball joint remover, right, and installer, right. Well, the motherfucking thing will remove the ball joint, but because it's a universal fucking set, it's not geared the way it needs to be in order for it to push this fucking ball joint into my fucking lower control arm, right? So after me
Did you
fucking
like
with it for
bust a
about
tie
45
rod or
minutes,
something?
I find
What was
Again?
it? Did you like bust a tie rod or something, or what was it that you had go
front
wrong?
ball joint
Front
in the
ball
lower
joint.
contr- the-
Okay.
yeah, ball joint in the lower control arm, right? So the lower control arm has your bushings that connect to the frame, and that's what does that spinny move there. And then on the front of that is where the spindle to the lower control arm and the upper control arm, and then off of the spindle is where you have the rotor and pressed bearing, right, for the rotor that goes there. For my truck, but now for my 4-wheel drive truck, it's actually an assembly that goes there, so it's different. But in any event, though, the fucking ball joint, right, the universal fucking C cup fucking deal would not fucking push the ball joint up into the hole. I got extremely fucking frustrated after 45 minutes. I said, I am fucking done with this. I went on 1aauto.com. I ordered 2 motherfucking brand new lower control arms with the bushings and the ball joints pre-fucking installed. They will be here Saturday. I am fucking done playing with this shit. Right?
I'm
All
guessing you
right.
don't have a shop press.
No.
No,
I'm in a
you gotta
fucking
get gear puller,
43 foot
man.
5.
You got a gear puller
Where am I
for
going
it.
to put a shot press? Please
Yeah,
tell me where I'm
man,
putting the shot press.
that's rough.
Yeah.
Something with like maybe a bottle jack and like just a frame.
Yep.
Would probably
do it.
get you there because that's essentially the same thing, just though taking up all the floor space.
I'm just done.
I'm trying to like think through how to do that with kind of what you have available.
Are you legit trying to replace the hub or the rotor? I guess the same on a truck, right?
the 2-wheel drive. Yeah, the rotor has pressed hubs or pressed wheel bearings. Yeah.
Oh,
On
that's
the 4-wheel drive, right? It's an assembly.
right. You just
Yeah.
swap the whole fucking thing.
Hey, and Jen, hold on. Jen, are you still in the chat? Jen, don't run off just yet now. You know I gotta tell you good night. See, this is what's special about being a part of the Wolf of Corn Echelon. You get a special shout out and good night.
Never
If she's
happened
still there.
before.
Ooh, there she is. Oh yeah. She says what? All right. Being here tonight, hon. Really appreciate seeing your name in the chat. Good night and sweet dreams.
Yeah.
You see that? You see that?
To get down, yeah. Lots of wolf corns.
You gotta lick the mic and like get an ear-shaped one.
Everybody get down, get back up again. You know, it's gonna be close to midnight somewhere.
Jesus. All right, Jen, appreciate you. And good night, hon. Get some sleep. Goodness, fucking y'all went off the rails quick with that shit, right?
Like, I'm gonna be honest, man. I still have a great face for radio, so surprised you keep letting me in the channel. But
Oh goodness.
hey, I
So
will
yeah.
tell you though, I am seriously looking forward to tomorrow night. I have
Oh
been
yeah.
I have been a busy beaver looking up the research, trying to find the other side of the argument. I'm not arguing my point, right? I need to argue the other point. I need to understand the other side of that coin in order to be able to get to a consensus argument, right? To find that problem resolution, you
Mhm.
have to think like the other side thinks and figure out where the give and take can exist. So
Mhm.
I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Outstanding. I know that I'm looking forward to it, man. The people that we have, I hope that people have been taking the the prep work that's going to be necessary kind of serious, right? Because if I hear the same kind of debate bro shit going on, I may end up right in the middle of it, be like, hey, somebody just paid 10,000 fucking wolf coins to trade somebody out. That's what's happening live, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Can we make it 100,000? And can I get like a cut of that? Because I'll fuck up on purpose for money.
It's just wolf coins,
even if
right?
it's wo-
This is
no,
What's
but
the
even
cash
if
value?
it's wolf coins, right? I mean, that's like dog money. It's like dog
listen.
money after a
No,
fashion.
no, no, no,
I'm
no,
in.
no. You're not. You're missing the whole point here, right? The only reason why, and this is the reason why wolf coins and wolf coins only, right? The panel, the entire reason we're putting it on is for this community, right? If you've got wolf coins, and maybe I need to make it like 50,000, right?
Yeah,
For
I
the
yes. Then I
for the
definitely
hickory
want to
dickory.
try.
Because then
Definitely.
that lowers the or, or it increases the value, especially with it being the hickory dickory instead of say like a normal panel, right? So that's where that conversation can be. But specifically wolf coins though, because it's being put on for the community, right? I don't want there even to be a shred of a possibility for somebody thinking, oh, I've got a wallet over here. I'm going to come in here and fuck up your show. It's like, no, you should have already been putting your time in with the community. And if you were, you would have wolf coins to be able to use. Right?
Increased barrier of entry.
That's
That's what you're
legit.
looking for.
Well, it's got to be capitally intensive, right, to get into.
I mean,
Okay.
Nobody understands the economic argument, right?
no, I'm saying
Barriers to
like,
entry.
what do you mean? Specifically,
So,
what I'm talking about is like if there's somebody in the community that wanted to say, see somebody as being just a debate bro and not trying to come to a solution, right? Like you just told me you're doing homework, right? So clearly you're understanding what the community's wanting to hear from a conversation, right? Somebody that was not doing their homework though, right? And the community sees that and goes, "This is an asshole. We know you didn't. You're not doing your fucking homework here. Who else do we have to fucking trade into that spot?"
so you're saying the panel is malleable
Yeah.
after a fashion. Well, I didn't realize this. So I guess I better bring my damn A game.
Look, if I'm going to do something, I'm only going to do it right. Otherwise, I'm not going to bother wasting my time doing it.
Right.
I get that. I feel you, but that was a tidbit you didn't make known in your intro.
I made it known the last two.
Fine, I'll pay attention for Christ's sake. Damn.
All right. Well, I gotta get headed out, guys. It's about midnight, a little bit past my bedtime. I appreciate you
Biggs,
having me on. If you
Yeah, man. Appreciate you jumping in.
yeah, if you need anybody to fill in, if anybody drops out or anything tomorrow, let me know.
10-4. What we're probably going to do is I'm going to send out a message tomorrow for the moderators, Shaman Wolves, Seer Wolves, Wolf Council. We're going to have all hands on deck, right? And if there's people in the chat or other people that want to be standbys, we're going to be taking names.
All right, cool.
And we're gonna have a pool to pull from, and then we'll probably, if that gets redeemed, we won't let the panel know, right, until I do a poll for the pack to then decide who's coming in, and we're gonna make it like quick 1-minute polls, so people got to be paying attention too in the chat, right? Got to be engaged with this, folks, because we only got a limited amount of time to do this, right? We're
Right.
in 8 to midnight, so 4 hours, which is pretty much a normal stream for me. But there's how it's going to be laid out, because we've got to get through intros, we got to get through people giving their initial stances and takes on the Constitution, etc. Biggs, I don't want to hold you up, so appreciate you
fine.
jumping in there.
Well, thank you. You guys take it easy.
Man, you too. Biggs 8500,
you.
everybody, right?
Yep.
Biggs 8500.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
So because of that, right, we're going to be paying attention to the chat. The conversation should be flowing. So like my job in it is exactly what I want it to be,